Is this my intuition or is this my ego? Is a very common dilemma when you're on the spiritual path, when you're seeking self-development in general. How to distinguish between your gut instincts and your fears, your judgments, and the other different thoughts of your mind. Our ancestors and indigenous cultures in general that lived in much deeper relationality with nature, for them it wasn't just a whim of like, oh, one day I realize I need to listen to myself and I'm my own best teacher, and then I just like follow every whim that comes into my mind. For them it was an existential issue. When you're living in nature, you need to listen very deeply. You need to hear the different types of the wind. You need to understand the different calls of different birds, or even the same bird in different stages. Is it mating? Is it calling out danger? When you're tracking animals, you need to be really quiet and listening and be able to interpret the different signs that nature is giving you. It wasn't just like, oh, my intuition says, the boar's going that way, the elk is going that way. It was a discipline, it was a practice, something that they honed over years. Listening and then getting feedback from nature and then checking to see whether their intuitions and gut sensations and things that they perceived through not just the five senses, but also through our sixth sense, our intuition, and so on, whether that was real and whether we could trust that. And we had elders and guides who had already done years of practice who could guide us in honing this skill. And I think nowadays this is something that we've lost. Intuition isn't something we practice. It's something that we almost feel like we're entitled to, and we're so sick of other people dominating us and telling us what to do that there is a power and a liberation in realizing that we can trust ourselves, and that actually, yes, our body does have the ability to perceive and understand in actually much vaster ways than we even realize. But sometimes that isn't combined with a real, authentic, long-term practice that can actually really bring out the true gifts of our intuition. And this is something that I feel really passionate about, because I was one of those people that was very rational, and I did rely on like mental sources or other sources of knowledge to guide me for a long time. And making that journey into my own intuition, I had a lot of doubts. So like, is this my ego? Is this my fear? I couldn't really trust my own senses until I really started to practice, especially in nature. And especially in relationality with nature, getting feedback. So just about listening, but it's also about a relational web of feedback and information exchange. And springtime, March time, is actually one of the best times to practice this, because the nature is waking up. She's in full voice and we're not in hibernation mode. So it's a really great time to practice our listenings. And this is something we're going to be really diving in deeply into on our March retreat, or the different practices in nature that help us understand and start to differentiate between our mind and our body, our fears and judgments, and our deep instinctual gut sense and intuition. I'm really looking forward to being there and not just guiding the practices, but also immersing myself also in these practices, because they are so beautiful.